The rain was relentless, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. Alaric, a 46-year-old IT specialist in Seattle, had always considered myself a rational man. Logic was my language, the binary code of ones and zeros my comfort. But logic had no place in the chaos that had become my life. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. My wife, Braunt, a vibrant and successful marketing executive, began working late. Important projects, she'd say, her eyes flitting away from mine. I attributed it to her ambition, her drive, qualities I admired, qualities that had drawn me to her in the first place. We had been married for 18 years, a seemingly solid foundation built on love, trust, and shared dreams. We met at a coffee shop downtown. I was struggling with my laptop, and she, with her infectious laughter and quick wit, offered to help. It was instant, a spark, a connection that felt destined. We built a life together, a cozy home in the suburbs, a network of friends, and a comfortable routine. Or so I thought. The first red flag was the phone. Braunt had always been open with her devices, sharing photos, showing me funny memes. But lately her phone was glued to her hand, screen down, notifications silenced. She'd jump if I entered the room, quickly minimizing whatever was displayed. I tried to brush it off. Maybe a surprise birthday gift for me, a secret project at work. But the unease persisted, a nagging whisper in the back of my mind. Then came the changes in her appearance. Braunt had always been beautiful, but she started paying extra attention to her clothes, her makeup, her hair. New dresses appeared in the closet, lingerie I hadn't seen before. She joined a gym, suddenly obsessed with her fitness. Again, I tried to rationalize it. Maybe she was just feeling good about herself. Maybe she was trying to spice things up after all these years. But the feeling of unease grew stronger, morphing into annoying anxiety. One Saturday, Braunt told me she had to attend a conference in Portland. A last-minute thing, she said, an important opportunity she couldn't miss. I offered to drive her to the airport, but she declined, saying a colleague was picking her up. I kissed her goodbye, a peck on the cheek, and watched her walk out the door, a nagging feeling in my gut. As soon as she left, I felt this urge, this almost uncontrollable need to know the truth. I knew it was wrong. I knew it was an invasion of privacy, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. I went to her laptop, a machine she rarely locked, and waited for it to boot. My hands trembled as I navigated to her email. I knew her password, a combination of our anniversary and our dog's name. I typed it in, my heart pounding in my chest. The inbox opened, revealing a cascade of emails. Most were work-related, but one subject line caught my eye: "Can't wait for this weekend." It was from someone named Jasper. I clicked on it, my breath catching in my throat. The email was explicit, filled with promises of passion and longing. It spoke of stolen moments, secret rendezvous, and a burning desire that couldn't be contained. It was clear, unmistakably clear. Braunt was having an affair. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. The room spun. My vision blurred. I felt a coldness spread through my veins, numbing my senses. It couldn't be true. My Braunt, the woman I loved, the woman I had built a life with, it was impossible. But the email was there, staring back at me, a damning piece of evidence that shattered my reality. I scrolled through the rest of the emails, each one a fresh stab to the heart. They had been seeing each other for months. Secret lunches, weekend getaways, stolen moments in hotel rooms. The details were graphic, intimate, and utterly devastating. I felt a wave of nausea rise in my throat. I stumbled to the bathroom and vomited, the contents of my stomach mirroring the bile that had risen in my soul. I spent the rest of the day in a daze, pacing the house, replaying the emails in my mind. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't think straight. The betrayal was a physical pain, a gaping wound in my chest. I thought of our memories together, the laughter, the tears, the shared dreams. Were they all a lie? Was our entire relationship a sham? As the evening wore on, a sense of cold, burning rage began to simmer beneath the surface. I wouldn't let her get away with this. I wouldn't be the victim. I deserved answers. I deserved the truth. I decided to confront her. I calculated the time difference. Portland was only an hour behind. I called her cell phone, my hand shaking as I pressed the call button. It rang and rang, going straight to voicemail. I hung up, my anger intensifying. She was probably with him, wrapped in his arms, whispering sweet nothings. I decided to track her phone. It felt like another violation, but at this point I didn't care. I needed to know where she was. I logged into our family account and used the Find My Phone feature. The map appeared showing her location, not a hotel in Portland, but a small, secluded cabin in the Cascade Mountains, a place we had always talked about visiting together. The rage boiled over. This wasn't just an affair. It was a calculated act of betrayal, a deliberate attempt to destroy everything we had built. I grabbed my keys, my coat, and stormed out of the house. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I couldn't stay here, alone with my pain. The drive to the mountains was a blur. The rain continued to pour, the wipers struggling to keep up. My mind raced, filled with images of Bront and Jasper, their bodies intertwined, their laughter mocking me. The anger fueled me, pushing me forward, driving me towards a confrontation I knew would be explosive. I arrived at the cabin late at night, the rain still coming down in sheets. The only light came from the windows, casting an eerie glow on the surrounding trees. I parked my car down the road out of sight and approached the cabin on foot, my heart pounding in my chest. I peered through the window, my blood turning to ice. Bront and Jasper were inside, sitting by the fire, laughing. They were dressed casually, comfortable, as if they had been doing this for years. He reached out and stroked her hair, and she leaned into his touch, her eyes filled with adoration. It was a scene of domestic bliss, a scene that should have been mine. The sight of them together, so happy, so carefree, was more than I could bear. The rage consumed me, blinding me to reason. I kicked down the door, the wood splintering and cracking. They both jumped, their faces registering shock and fear. Alaric. Bront screamed, her voice laced with panic. Jasper stood up, his eyes narrowing. "What the hell are you doing here?" he demanded, his voice dripping with menace. "What am I doing here?" I roared, my voice echoing through the cabin. "I'm here to find out why my wife is screwing around behind my back." Bront started to cry, her face contorted with guilt. "Alaric, please let me explain," she pleaded, her voice trembling. "Explain?" I scoffed. "What's there to explain? I saw the emails. I tracked your phone. I know everything." Jasper stepped forward, his fists clenched. "This is between Bront and me," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "You need to leave. This is between my wife and you." I yelled, my anger reaching a fever pitch. "She's my wife. You're just some pathetic loser who can't keep his hands off another man's woman." I lunged at him, throwing a punch that connected with his jaw. He stumbled backward, clutching his face. Bront screamed again, trying to pull me off him. A fight ensued, a chaotic brawl fueled by rage and betrayal. I landed several punches, each one a release of the pent-up anger and pain. Jasper fought back, but he was no match for my fury. Bront continued to scream, begging us to stop, but her words were lost in the maelstrom of violence. Finally, I managed to pin Jasper to the ground, my hands wrapped around his throat. "I should kill you," I hissed, my voice trembling with rage. "You deserve to die." But as I looked into his eyes, I saw not defiance but fear. He was just a pawn in Bront's game, a victim of her deception. I released my grip, gasping for breath. I stood up, my body shaking, and turned to Bront, my eyes filled with pain and disappointment. "I don't even know who you are anymore," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "I thought I knew you. I thought we had something special. But you've destroyed everything." Bront continued to cry, her body racked with sobs. "Alaric, I am so sorry," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "I never meant to hurt you. It just happened, it just happened." I repeated, my voice laced with sarcasm. "You planned this, you lied to me, you betrayed me in the worst possible way." I couldn't bear to look at her any longer. The sight of her, the woman I had loved for so long, filled me with disgust. I turned and walked out of the cabin, leaving her and Jasper alone in the rain. I drove back to Seattle, my mind numb, my heart broken. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew one thing for sure: my marriage was over. The next few weeks were a blur of lawyers, paperwork, and emotional turmoil. Bront tried to apologize, tried to explain, but I refused to listen. The trust was gone, shattered beyond repair. I filed for divorce and she didn't contest it. The divorce was finalized quickly, and I moved out of our house, finding a small apartment in the city. I threw myself into my work, using it as a distraction from the pain. I avoided our mutual friends, not wanting to hear their opinions or their judgments. I was alone, adrift in a sea of uncertainty. A few months later, I received a phone call from an unknown number. I hesitated before answering, but curiosity got the better of me. "Hello," I said, my voice cautious. "Alaric, it's Jasper," the voice on the other end said. My blood ran cold. "What do you want?" I demanded, my voice tight. "I just wanted to apologize," he said, his voice subdued. "I know what I did was wrong. I never should have gotten involved with Braunt." I remained silent, waiting for him to continue. She told me things about you," he said, his voice hesitant. "She said you were distant, that you didn't care about her anymore. She made me believe that she was unhappy in the marriage." I scoffed. "And you believed her?" I asked, my voice laced with sarcasm. "I wanted to," he admitted. "I was blinded by my feelings for her. But I see now that she was manipulating me. She was using me to escape her own unhappiness." He paused, taking a deep breath. "I'm not trying to excuse my behavior," he said. "I know I made a mistake, but I wanted you to know that I regret it. I regret hurting you." I remained silent, processing his words. Part of me wanted to lash out, to unleash my anger and pain. But another part of me recognized the sincerity in his voice. He was another victim, caught in Braunt's web of deceit. "Thank you," I said finally, my voice quiet. "I appreciate you calling." I hung up the phone, feeling a small measure of closure. It didn't erase the pain, but it helped to know that I wasn't alone in my suffering. Time passed, and slowly I began to heal. I started dating again, cautiously, tentatively. I met some wonderful women, but none of them could replace the bond I had shared with Braunt. Or maybe I was still afraid to open my heart again, afraid of being hurt again. One day I received an email from Braunt. I almost deleted it without reading it, but something compelled me to open it. She wrote about her life after the divorce. She and Jasper had broken up. She was alone, living in a small apartment, working a dead-end job. She apologized again for the pain she had caused me. She said she realized now that she had made a terrible mistake, that she had thrown away something precious for a fleeting moment of excitement. She didn't ask for forgiveness, but she hoped that one day I could find it in my heart to understand. I read the email, my heart aching with a mixture of sadness and pity. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. I closed the email, a sense of finality washing over me. Braunt was a chapter in my life that was now closed. It was a painful chapter, a chapter filled with betrayal and heartbreak. But it was also a chapter that had taught me valuable lessons about love, trust, and the importance of knowing your worth. I looked out the window, watching the rain fall on the city. The storm had passed, both outside and inside me. The sun would rise again, and I would be ready to face it, stronger and wiser than before. Years passed. I never remarried, but I found happiness in my work, my friends, and my hobbies. I learned to trust again, to love again, but with a healthy dose of caution. I never forgot Braunt, but the pain of her betrayal faded with time, replaced by a sense of acceptance and forgiveness. One day I was walking through downtown Seattle when I saw her. She was sitting on a park bench, looking tired and worn. I hesitated, unsure whether to approach her, but curiosity got the better of me. "Braunt," I said, my voice tentative. She looked up, her eyes widening in surprise. "Alaric," she said, her voice barely a whisper. We stood there for a moment, staring at each other, a lifetime of memories flashing between us. "How are you?" I asked, my voice gentle. "I'm okay," she said, her voice hesitant. "Things have been difficult," I nodded, understanding. "I heard about you and Jasper," I said, my voice neutral. "I am sorry." She looked down, her face filled with shame. "It was a mistake," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "The biggest mistake of my life." I remained silent, allowing her to speak. "I miss you, Alaric," she said, her eyes filling with tears. "I miss our life together. I know I don't deserve it, but I wish I could go back and change everything." I looked at her, my heart aching with a mixture of pity and regret. I saw the pain in her eyes, the remorse in her voice. But I also knew that it was too late. The past couldn't be changed. The damage was done. "I can't," I said finally, my voice firm but gentle. "I can't go back, Braunt. Too much has happened. Too much has been broken." She nodded, understanding. "I know," she said, her voice resigned. "I just wanted you to know that I am sorry, truly sorry." I smiled, a sad, wistful smile. "I know," I said. "I believe you." We stood there for a moment longer in silence before I turned to leave. "Goodbye, Braunt," I said, my voice barely audible. "Goodbye, Alaric," she replied, her voice filled with tears. I walked away, leaving her on the park bench, alone with her regrets. I didn't look back. It was over. Finally, truly over. I walked into the sunset. ready to embrace the future, leaving the ghosts of the past behind me. Life had dealt me a cruel blow, but I had survived. I had emerged from the ashes, stronger and more resilient than ever before. And that, I realized, was a victory in itself.